Hey guys, Croft is here. Today we'll be covering all alternate endings that Prometheus could have had. The first alternate ending is in the Prometheus deleted scene, then there are two alternate endings in early scripts in addition to a few other versions of the conclusion to the Prometheus story. We'll start with the ending that's the closest to the movie and then review each subsequent ending on our list that is progressively more and more deviated from the film. Blu Ray Alternate Ending. The Blu Ray edition of Prometheus has many deleted scenes, including an alternate opening scene with the dialogue between engineers, which I covered in my previous video. It also has an alternate ending scene that we'll review first before getting to alternate script endings. After the engineer fight that is actually way longer, in the deleted scene, Dr. Shaw lays on the ground and cries, realizing that she's completely alone. After she says, "I'm sorry Charlie, I can't do it anymore," David contacts her via radio, revealing that he is still alive. She asks him, "That thing that took your head off, what did it say, David?" "Think, Dr. Shaw, not too long ago you considered them gods," says David. "God never tried to kill me, so what did he say? Where did he come from?" There is no direct translation, but several of your ancient cultures had a word similar to it.
Paradise.
After hearing this, Shaw gets into a cart and drives to the crashed Juggernaut. Once she reaches David's head, he asks her, "May I ask what you plan to achieve by going there?" Shaw replies, "They created us and they tried to kill us. They changed their minds. I deserve to know why." David asks her, "Does it matter why they changed their minds?" "Yes, it does." "I don't understand why." Then Shaw stands up and says, "I guess it's because I'm a human and you're a freaking robot." Then she brutally grabs him by the hair and shoves his head in the bag. This scene is different from what we got in the movie, where Shaw is almost apologetic to David as opposed to this alternative ending in which she's hostile towards him. Besides this ending that can be found on Blu-ray, there are two other endings that appear in the early Prometheus scripts. Because the production of the movie changed course so many times, there exists a few Prometheus scripts that are 85% similar to what we saw on the screen. However, they also have more scenes and dialogues with engineers and other unique differences. The next two alternate endings we'll look at are John Spaihts' script called Alien Engineers and the early draft script that I covered in a few of my other videos. In John Spaihts' alternate ending, the engineer already had an alien embryo inside of him while being in cryosleep. However, the embryo was dormant, just like the engineer. Then, after awakening, the embryo started growing, so when the Juggernaut was about to take off, an ultramorph erupted from the engineer's chest and through the suit, killing the engineer. Yannick had just a few seconds before the ship computer could take over, so he crashed Prometheus into the Juggernaut just like in the movie. For the context, Shaw was named Watts in the script, Prometheus had a name Magellan, and the crew arrived on LV-426 instead of LV-223. After the Juggernaut collapses on the ground, Shaw sees an ultramorph alien emerging from the crashed Juggernaut who already grew to a human height. The alien chases her as she runs through the fragments of the destroyed Prometheus ship. The alien stops to devour a rotten engineer head in the remains of the laboratory. Then, in a twisting chase, the alien gets closer and closer to Shaw, but she finds a diamond-bladed saw and impales the ultramorph's head. Then Shaw enters Vickers' module with various amenities where she finally relaxes, since in that version the engineer is dead, so nobody would come after her. In the meantime, David's head contacts Shaw from the crashed Juggernaut, and David asks Shaw to fix him in exchange for showing her how to operate the engineer ship. Shaw says, "I'm not going to fix you, David. I don't need you. I'll hold out. A ship will come." David replies, "I'm certain, but who will send it, men or engineers?" David's reply convinces Shaw to fix him and leave this moon before the arrival of furious gods. The last paragraph of the script is really interesting. Apparently David manages to operate a bigger ship shaped like a pyramid. The massive central pyramid rises in the midst of the engineer complex. With a boom, a bright beam of light shines forth from its peak, punching straight through the clouds like a laser. Other beams of light erupt from other pyramids, scorching the sky with their brightness. The barren moon hangs in space, its father planet, angry red god, in the background. 24 beams of light rise from the moon, visible even from space, a beacon, a signal, a beginning. Images depicting lights erupting from pyramids can be seen on Prometheus concept art, suggesting that this alternate ending was seriously considered. John Spaihts' script is better than the final script used for Prometheus in many ways, and I'll probably do a separate video just about that script. The early draft script ending. Another alternate ending of Prometheus is in the early draft script that also has many engineer dialogues that I covered in my other videos, including the deleted opening dialogue and the extended conversation between Weyland, engineer, and David that is actually longer than in the deleted scene. In addition, this early draft script has a really intriguing ending that I wish was actually implemented in the movie. In the script, everything happens pretty much in the exact same way as in the movie, with the ending following the alternate ending scenario in the deleted scene. However, the script then describes David and Shaw arriving to the engineer homeworld. After telling David that he's just an effing robot and lowering his body from the crashed juggernaut, Shaw puts him on a buggy and they drive to another pyramid. The script reads, the ground outside the pyramid opens and another juggernaut rises out. The vessel elevates in the air and then jumps out of sight, but unlike the movie, the story doesn't end here but continues to the most interesting part. We're looking at LV-223 from the Juggernaut's point of view, and the planetoid and its gas giant planet getting further and further as the vessel travels out of the solar system. Then follows the scene of the Deacon bursting out of the engineer's chest, and next we're cut to the Juggernaut with David and Shaw that is headed to the engineer homeworld. The engineer's suit opens up, revealing David's body. The helmet detaches from David's head, which then drops and rolls onto the platform. The 4 cryopods rise up and open, revealing Shaw inside. She suits up and grunts in confusion. David asks her, "Dr. Shaw, are you alright?" "What happened?" Shaw responds. "Our presence is wanted outside." Shaw seems like she completely forgot where they were heading. "What? Arrived where?" David says, "We have arrived." She asks him again, "What? Arrived where?" And David responds, "Paradise." This alternate ending is particularly interesting because David says that their presence is wanted outside, despite the LV-223 engineer wanting to kill Shaw, which opens a whole new Pandora's box of questions about engineers. Alien of 1979 ending. The next alternate ending of Prometheus is purely hypothetical, but it ties perfectly to the beginning of Alien of 1979. And there are many clues in the Prometheus documentary that the production team was planning to have a version of this ending at a certain stage. After Captain Yannick crashes into the engineer Juggernaut, the ship falls and the engineer gets stuck in the space jockey chair. Similarly to the John Spaihts script, the engineer was infected with an alien queen embryo before he was put in the cryosleep. So the alien queen grows inside of him and eventually emerges, leaving the same hole that we see in Alien of 1979. All the remaining crew is stuck on LV-223 with the alien queen since the Prometheus ship is destroyed. David is dead and nobody from the crew can figure out how to pilot other ships. They manage to create a beacon that broadcasts a warning signal to prevent other ships from landing on this moon. This primordial alien queen eventually kills all of the remaining crew and returns to the crashed Juggernaut to lay the alien eggs. The queen eventually dies since there are no other live hosts on this deserted moon, and the only thing that is left is the crashed Juggernaut, alien eggs, and the space jockey with the hole in his costume, which perfectly ties up to the beginning of Alien of 1979. The next 4 alternate endings are purely hypothetical and never appeared in any scripts or other official materials. They're just a fun speculation to explore where Prometheus could have gone if the story took a drastically different path. Weyland Supremacy Ending. In this hypothetical ending, when Weyland asks the engineer for more life, his dying wish is granted and the space jockey heals Weyland and offers him a substance that would keep him alive for an indefinite amount of time. The engineer departs to the homeworld planet and takes Shaw with him. Weyland and David use the rest of the crew to conduct experiments with the black goo and gain immense knowledge about virology and biotechnology, which they then use to make Weyland Industries the biggest and the most powerful company on Earth. People on Earth mistakenly believe that Weyland is the new prophet due to his immortality. Eventually, after seizing the control of all the resources and becoming more influential than governments, Weyland Industries causes an apocalypse that destroys most of the Earth's population. Earth becomes a wasteland, which is what we see in the deleted scene of Alien Resurrection once Ripley comes back to Earth. Wrath of Engineers Ending. In this alternate ending, Captain Yannick fails to crash into the engineer's ship, so the Juggernaut escapes and heads towards Earth with the deadly virus. The engineer spreads the black goo all over Earth in the same way as David did with the Planet 5 in Alien Covenant. The black goo causes very similar reactions to humans as it did to another engineer colony in Alien Covenant. Earth's fauna mutates in reaction with the black goo and produces microscopic infectious spores that spread all over Earth, contaminating the entire atmosphere. Humans who manage to escape from the direct exposure to the pathogen become infected with the spores through the air and produce neomorph-like creatures. Since there is no more meat food left on Earth, neomorphs start to hunt and eat each other and eventually drive themselves to complete extinction. Earth becomes very similar to the Planet 5, void of any animal life forms with only infectious plants and trees, a clean slate, just like the engineers intended. The only surviving humans remain on LV-223, including Shaw, Yannick, Vickers, and 3 other crew members. Merciful Engineers Ending. A possible reason the engineer decided to proceed with his plan to destroy Earth is because Weyland and David were the ones who met him after awakening. Both of them represented some of the worst aspects of humanity, which is greed, desire for power and control, even over the life itself. Therefore, in this alternate ending, instead of Weyland and David greeting the engineer, it's Elizabeth Shaw who's next to him when he awakens. Shaw, being a pure soul, combining some of the best aspects of human nature, makes a good impression on the engineer, proving to him that there is still good in humanity and it can be guided on the right path. The engineer changes his mind about destroying Earth, however, he refuses eternal life to Weyland and tells him that he is not worthy. Instead, the engineer takes Shaw to the homeworld planet to teach her the engineer knowledge so that she can return to Earth as a new messiah and save humanity from the imminent apocalypse. The last hypothetical ending we're gonna look at is David's Fury ending. David did not like Weyland and even wished him death, however, he could not harm Weyland because of his programming. But in this alternate ending, David decides to drink the black goo, which causes extremely bizarre reactions. The presence of some organic chemistry in David's body leads to an extremely unusual outcome. David doubles in size as a result of the black goo, which allows him to override his programming, removing all boundaries and limitations. David wakes Weyland up, and after explaining all the reasons he hates him, he then kills him. David feels extremely offended that the crew treated him as an inferior sub-creature, despite him being immensely smarter and stronger than all of them. David uses the crew members that wronged him for his bioexperiments. He learns about the engineer homeworld and plans to make the black goo even more potent to destroy all living creatures in the universe, including Earth and the engineer homeworld. The only 2 people that David spares are Elizabeth Shaw and Captain Yannick, who are terrified of what is about to happen and awaken the engineer. The engineer tries to kill the mad android, however, David is now much stronger than he was. He stands 13 feet tall and possesses many xenomorph traits. After a fierce confrontation, the engineer sacrifices himself to kill David in an explosion, saving humanity and giving it another chance. Shaw and Yannick are the only survivors, and it's up to them to decide what to do with the engineer knowledge and whether to inform people on Earth about it. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments which of the 3 alternate endings you would prefer, or would you rather have seen any of the hypothetical alternate endings. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more alien content. My name is Croft, and I'll see you in the next video.